General Flynn, flash message on Monday, April 27th, 2020. Flash, flash, flash. Sir, your person, Michael Thomas Flynn, cannot stand trial as Michael T. Flynn. Michael Thomas Flynn is your person's full legal name and must be used in legal matters. Your person was transformed to a thing, a slave, Michael T. Flynn, and a slave thing has no rights. You are a victim of human trafficking. You're a victim of identity theft. You're a victim of many things. So we'll get into that later, but under the Criminal Code of the United States, which would be Title 18, United States Code 241, and Title 18, United States Code 242, the proceedings you went through would be a conspiracy against your rights and a deprivation of rights under color of law. They're only pretending to do the law. There's nothing lawful about what they're doing because they're not using your name and they're not using their name. And they use the wrong name for the court and so forth and so on. And I'll show you the proof. But the other thing is that all who served have privilege to trial by court-martial. You should never have been there in the first place, sir. You should just say, well, then I invoke my privilege of trial by court-martial. Because under court-martial, your rights to due process are preserved. Now, here in the world, there is no right to due process because we're not under the Constitution. We're under some kind of martial law, military rule that goes back to Lincoln and him declaring martial law in 1861. Since then, now we're under an insurrection, is what it looks like, by this place called the United States of America, because Uncle Sam, which is the United States, did not bring charges against you. What happened are the members of the D.C. Bar have conspired to prosecute a color of law simulated legal process in a foreign jurisdiction. And that jurisdiction would be called United States of America, not the United States of America, which is the Confederation under the Articles of Confederation. The style of the Confederation shall be the United States of America. That'd be the first article. No, this is United States of America, which is talked about in the Treaty of Peace of 1783, in which King George III is, claiming what he's there for and what's his, and he claims the United States of America as one of his dominions. Well, look at who's charging you on your paperwork. We will here in a minute. We'll actually look at the documents, but, just look at who the plaintiff is. It says, United States of America. Well, sir, what happened to you happens daily in every courtroom in the United States. Because we're under some kind of insurrection, and we, the people, need relief. So we ask the Army of the United States to enforce the laws of the United States in accordance with 10 U.S.C. Chapter 13, Insurrection, or 10 U.S.C. Chapter 15, Insurrection. I don't know why we have two that say insurrection, but there they are. And so, yeah, because there is nobody enforcing the law, and I'm going to show you that no officer or legislator has taken the oaths required for them to hold a civil office under the Constitution. And so that all that leaves is the military, which would be officers with the oath of office they took, and the enlisted with the oath of office that we took. And my oath of office isn't the same as yours. My oath of office as the enlisted includes an oath to the President of the United States, not United States of America. Well, Donald J. Trump is the President of the United States of America, but he's not the President of the United States. For him to be President of the United States, he would have to be known as Donald John Trump, right, in his full legal name. So, hey, I'm Staff Sergeant Robert Allen Rutluski, by the way, U.S. Army veteran. Social Security number 374-506794, DOD ID 12112800006, so we can precisely identify who it is I am. And if you'd like to talk to me, or email me, or have somebody email me, courtofrecord@AOL.com, or my phone is 616-712-6179, because I could never give you all the things I could tell you in this short video, but my intention is just to have you take a look at some things, or have somebody, in the Army intelligence start looking And so I've done a number of videos here just recently that have to do with this stuff, and they're all under Rob Ryder, R-O-B-B-B-R-Y-D-E-R. I'm sure the NSA's got a copy, right? Just word search for stuff, or go, take a minute and read them or watch them. And then if you would, please tell Donald John Trump that the cure that he needs, I don't want to call it a cure, so I'm going to go back. We're not going to cure anything. We're going to dissolve viruses, germs, bacteria, and microorganisms by using kerosene or turpentine, which I talked about in a couple of videos here in the last month, which was kerosene your keister, and the dose makes the poison. And you'll see that the cure, well, again, I don't think they called it a cure. I think they dissolved the tuberculosis germs back in the 1900s, 1900, 1910, by simply injecting or inhaling, actually, not injecting, inhaling the mist of kerosene into the lungs. And people would do that for a month to 4 months with total recovery. Well, not only does it take care of the stuff in the lungs, it also gets into the bloodstream, and it chases out all the critters that run through your bloodstream that end up in your testicles or your prostate or God knows where, and they start their little colony. So, could you please tell Donald John Trump he doesn't need that expensive stuff they're talking about at Sinai Hospital. Everybody needs a little kerosene or turpentine, or heck, a little bit of both. So I'll leave that for later, and for now, I'm going to go grab a few sheets to get started. So give me just a second. Be right back, sir. Okay, General Flynn, because you were kind enough to post your statement that you filed into your court case, I was able to find this court case, and this is actually the very first document that was filed into your court case. They're claiming to be an information. And as we look at some other documents and material of interest, you'll see that in this case, this doesn't have any file stamp from the clerk on there. As we look at other documents, or you look at all your documents and just start looking at the names of the court, you're going to see that the names change. Right? Some will have a file stamp, some won't, like this one. Some will have this name, some will have a different name, as we'll see. It says United States of America is the plaintiff. Actually, it doesn't even say they're the plaintiff, right? It just says you're the defendant. It says United States. Well, that's not the United States. Again, this is King George's jurisdiction. I'll show you in just a second. And Michael T. Flynn, that's a thing. That's not a person, right? You have a full legal name. It's a name on your birth record. It's the name you put on your oath of office to become an officer. That name. You can't be tried as Michael T. Flynn in the United States. It would be unconstitutional. As you can see, there's no criminal number on here, and they're saying the violation is supposed to be 18 U.S.C., United States Code 101, false statements, which really that isn't the proper citation for that law whatsoever. There's a proper citation if you're going to cite on the United States Code as the what you're talking about. There's a proper legal citation for it, and this isn't it. And we'll look closer. We got a case number, information. See Michael T. Flynn. See how they put that in all caps? They don't have it in proper case. They got all of these other words in proper case, but not your name or the defendant's name. And this is the other thing. See, they've made the defendant Michael T. Flynn. Well, if you're the defendant in court, you're guilty, because you shouldn't be the defendant if there wasn't probable cause to have you there. So by you agreeing to be the defendant, Michael T. Flynn, right, you've already lost in this fictitious simulated legal process that's taking place in a different jurisdiction, because if the United States of America is supposed to be the government, well, then this isn't the United States. This is King George's jurisdiction. And, right, Robert S. Mueller, well, he doesn't exist. That's nobody's full legal name. Neither is Brandon L. Van Grack, or Zanab N. Ahmed. Those are not people's full legal names. And as we'll see, for any of these attorneys to have participated in a federal court, United States District Court, for the District of Columbia, or whatever the proper name is supposed to be, well, they have to have their name filed with the clerk. And when you look at the names filed with the clerk, there isn't any attorneys listed with a middle initial name. That's not their legal name. That would be Robert, whatever his middle name is, Mueller. So let's look at that real quick. All right, that's probably the best place to go next. Before we get into your particular pieces of paper, let's just look at this. So here's the United States District Court, Western District of Michigan. Now see, this doesn't say for the. You notice that, sir? Right? So here's one for the District of Columbia. This one doesn't say for the Western District of Michigan. It just says United States District Court, Western District of Michigan. So apparently, the for the would make it a different court because it has a different name. Now, this is the one that has the seals. So we would assume this is the proper jurisdiction. And so what we had done is we had asked, in this particular Linda's case, right, we had asked to get a copy of whatever they filed with the clerk for an attorney. And it says, please let this letter serve as confirmation that Attorney Dean Edward Rittenberg has been admitted to the United States District Court for the Western District of Michigan. Now here they use for the. Here they didn't use for the. Here they use for the, and this is for District of Columbia, but so it's like this jurisdiction here goes with apparently this jurisdiction here, but this clerk here isn't the clerk of that court, she's the clerk of some other court. Because they're using the word for the in one and not in the other. And it has a seal, and I don't know if you... I should have read this ahead of time, but District Court... it's actually got stuff on the inside and the outside of the seal, which I had looked at before, so I'm going to... Give me just a second. Okay, sir, I can't say exactly what it says, but it looks like it says seal of the U.S. District Court, District of... I don't think you could fit Michigan in there, so I don't know what that is. And then district or district something. And then it's for the... And I can't read the rest of it. But it must say like Western District of Michigan, because that's where this is. But why does it say U.S. Not, why does it... How come they did not use United States District Court? Because that's what it's supposed to be. U.S. is a military abbreviation of United States. That would be the, used by a military tribunal maybe, or a territorial court under federal troops or something. But it's not United States District Court. Right? I mean, it's not like they can't afford to put the letters on there. They could have said United States District Court. But they put U.S. District Court. See, here it says United States District Court, Western District of Michigan. It's on this seal. Actually, what would that be? That would be a coat of arms. All right, there's a coat of arms, and it's got it around the outside of the coat of arms, but that's not the same as what's in here. And so, this is some other jurisdiction court other than a constitutional United States District Court. That's my opinion. But back to why we're here, because it's Dean Edward Rittenberg we were talking about. See, that's his name there. And the same gentleman from the seal of the Michigan Supreme Court, Dean Edward Rittenberg. All right, this is from the Supreme Court State of Michigan, which this is supposed to be their, they call it the roll of attorneys, right? So if you were to ask for a certificate of good standing from an attorney, they're supposed to be able to provide you a piece of paper like this that would have their name on it, Dean Edward Rittenberg. Well, that matches this guy, so they both agree that he's, doing business as Dean Edward Rittenberg. Or at least that's the name that's licensed to practice law. But when he does paperwork and submits it into a court case, he does it as Dean E. Rittenberg. Well, Dean E. Rittenberg isn't licensed to practice law in Michigan or in the United States. We just saw what names are. And then you see that, the United States trustees got the same thing. So I don't know where this middle initial jurisdiction is supposed to be, but that's where they're trying to take you to, because that's where they are. I'm just saying, well, that's not the United States. That's this thing called the United States of America, and it's a foreign jurisdiction. You shouldn't be there. So let me show you where that comes from. Okay, sir, so this isn't the first time I've shown this stuff. It's, not the second or even the 10th. It has to be at least 20 times I've shown things like the Treaty of Peace to say, well, look at the Treaty of Peace, what it says. It says it was ratified and proclaimed by the Congress of the United States, right? The Continental Congress. So apparently the United States has to do with the Continental Congress. And in here it says that it having pleased the divine providence to dispose the hearts of the most serene and most potent King George III, by the grace of God, King of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, Defender of the Faith, Duke of Brunswick and Lauenburg, Arch-Treasurer and Prince-Elector of the Holy Roman Empire, and of the, lowercase, the United States of America. Right? So he claims jurisdictional United States of America in a treaty, and it was never, disputed. Which is different than in the Articles of Confederation, where it says in the first article, establish the name of the Confederation with these words. It says, the style of this Confederacy shall be the United States of America. So the United States of America is on money, on a Federal Reserve note. It's on a certificate of naturalization. United States of America is on a passport. And on the passport, they put your name backwards. And if you were to look in the way they have your name, actually in the docket, maybe not on the paperwork, but in the docket, it's last name, comma, first name. So, it's a foreign jurisdiction. I guess we just had to get over it. Yeah, a second. So, General, you should be able to go to the United States District Court, District of Columbia, to the clerk's office and get one of these for each and every attorney that participated in your court case, whether they were for you or against you. I believe you'll find out eventually they were all against you. Because we're all members of the bar, right? It's the bar that's doing this. This is every state has a bar, and every attorney has to be a member of the bar. And the bar, to become a member, makes everybody, they suspend their First Amendment rights. Right? So it's really an organization that's at war with our constitutional form of government. And yet it's in charge of the legal system. Well, how do you think that's going to work out? So you could get this, again, from the court. And then if you went to just ask the attorney, say you want to have a copy of their certificate of good standing, right? If they want to participate, if they want to adjudicate any case in the District of Columbia, they have to be a member of this DC bar. So ask them for a copy of their certificate of good standing. And you'll see that on there is their full legal name. And what they did in your court case, they didn't use their full legal name. Now, what you can do with that afterwards, I'm going to leave to you, but I'm going to say, well, that's evidence of an insurrection. And so Title 10 of the United States Code, Armed Forces, it gives, everything is here that we need to put an end to this craziness right now. We don't need the commander-in-chief. If we don't have one because he didn't take the proper oath of office, that's fine. General Miley can do it. Use the militia and armed forces to enforce federal authority. That's what we need to happen. And it isn't just in Chapter 13. It's here in Chapter 15. Where's that 15 at? Insurrection. So there's the authority to do what needs to be done, right? The Army can come over today and take over. We don't need to wait any longer. You have the evidence. You participated in the evidence gathering. Heck, you were the subject of the evidence. Right, Michael Thomas Flynn. It's not the name they were charging you with, sir. Okay, hang on, please. Just a few more little details to clear up first. So here's the manual for Courts Martial, United States, 2016 edition. And if you search on Rule 202, right, persons subject to the jurisdiction of courts martial. There's actually two rules because there's a second section that has to do with judicial notice. But Rule 202, persons subject to jurisdiction of courts martial in general, courts martial may try any person when authorized to do so under the code. And it goes on to explain it in more detail, but I'm saying, well, that includes you because it includes me. I've never been released from the military, and, you're a general. I know you've never been released, so you're still in the military. Then you should have been tried by court-martial. Done to put up with that crap. Okay, moving along. Now, sir, whoever the Pop-Tart is sitting up there as the judge in your court case has got one of these documents either from Donald J. Trump or Barack Obama. What's his middle H? Yeah? Obama? Right? And some name other than their full legal name, right? They have a copy of a document that looks like this that we're supposed to believe is their commission for them to be a federal judge. Well, Donald J. Trump is not the president of anything. That is not his full legal name, right? It's a wrong jurisdiction. If they're using that name, it's not the United States, it's the wrong jurisdiction. And there you are, President of the United States of America. Right? Again, this is King George's jurisdiction. Which, that's what the Constitution's all about, just so everybody knows, right? You have the United States of America and United States of America, and they're going to be in union under this thing called the Constitution, which the government of the United States is supposed to enforce. And so those who go get a proper oath of office and get a commission and do everything right, down to the jot and tittle, well, then they have authority under the Constitution of the United States. But if they don't do it right, if there's an error or an omission or something else to keep the paperwork from being done right, then they're not an officer of the United States. Right? The job isn't over till the paperwork's done. And, the schemers know that. So they make sure the shit doesn't get done right. Because whoever this is not a judicial officer of the judicial branch of government. They're under this seal here is the seal of the Department of Justice. Right? They're merely a administrative judge under the Department of Justice. So I would say then, well, that means they're like a federal territory court judge for areas outside of the United States, like Indian Territory, that kind of judge. Right? But this isn't a commission for the United States. If this was a commission for a United States judge or an officer of the United States in the judicial branch of the government, then the seal would be the Great Seal of the United States. And this is not the Great Seal of the United States. This is the seal of the Department of Justice, which is an administrative branch. And it's supposed to be countersigned by the Secretary of State. But this is countersigned by the Attorney General. Now, you go and read in Title V about how they do these commissions. It says in there that if it's one that would have been requested by the Attorney General before this date in 1888, and from now on they're going to be under the seal, but the Attorney General would never be the one requesting more judges for a separate but equal branch of government called the judicial branch. The judicial branch would be asking for its own judges. But it isn't. Because they're not in the judicial branch. The judicial branch is vacant. Not only is it vacant, but so is Congress. And I've shown this many, many times, sir. This is January 17th, so this is not the first Tuesday of the new session, but it's the first day that there was any talk of oath of offices, which was supposed to be done on the first day, but it wasn't. And it was done after the adjournment for the day. Right? Adjournment. So they've adjourned for the day, and they're going to start tomorrow on Friday. So, the business is over. And now somebody tries to slip this in and says, hey, here's our oaths of office. And when we look at the oath that they took, it says, I, A, B, do solemnly swear, goes on, down, down, down. So help me God. It's the standard one that most people are used to. It's found in 5 U.S.C. 3331. But this oath is unconstitutional for an office of the United States because it has a religious test. It says, so help me God. And so they act like, this oath, the oath of office required by the 6th article of the Constitution of the United States, and as provided by Section 2 of the Some Act of May 13th, 1884, 23 Stat 22, and 23 Stat doesn't go with May 1884. That would have been like in the 1830s or something. To be administered to the members' residence, carried, So, there you go. It's not the right oath of office. If we were to go and look at what it says in the 6th article, it says the senators, representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, right? So like the Michigan House of Representatives, Michigan Senate, those kind of people, they'd have to take it. And all the executive and judicial officers, all ALL, executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required. Well, it says, help me God, so it's unconstitutional. Now, the problem that we have is that in Article 6, it says it has to support the Constitution, and the oath in Article 2 for the President does not support the Constitution. It says it will, best of his ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So he would have to take a second oath of office, which isn't uncommon. People have to take more than one oath. So, that's what Congress is going to do here. If we go back real quick and look at Congress, where are you? Congress, here you are. Right? So after they did this oath, this is supposed to be the oath they're pretending to give them authority under the United States as a member of Congress. Then afterwards, they're going to ask for another oath to have access to secrets. Now, if we start looking at the names these people use, they're using names with the middle initials. Or they may not have even put their middle name in. That's another way to do it. No certificate received. Okay, North Carolina didn't send anybody for its 10th district. Whatever that means. Some of these people have, like nicknames in the middle of their name. Robert C. Bobby Scott. Is that the name this man put on his oath of office? If he did, well, then that's not his legal name. His legal name is defined in the Real ID Act that you can find in 6 CFR for Code of Federal Regulations, Part 37, Real ID Act, where it defines the full legal name as being first name, middle names, last name, no nicknames, no initials. Well, we have a problem then, sir, because we got initials and nicknames in the names that were put on people's oaths of office. Now, unfortunately, I cannot go and get a copy of their oath of office because they say that they're sealed for 30 years. Isn't that something? Now, so this is the Congress. And what else did I want to show real quick? Let me gather my thoughts here. We have a couple more to look at. Okay, so, sir, in the administrative branch or executive branch, is it the administrative branch or the executive branch? Good question. They have this document they call appointment affidavits, and it's, what is the document number? Standard Form 61. So anybody that, I would think of being in the FBI or any agency that needed to have an oath of office, this is what they document they're filing. And this one happens to be, or these, there's a number of them, for the Board of Governors for the Federal Reserve System. Right? They need to take an oath of office, but This doesn't say it's oaths of offices. It says it's appointment affidavits. And when you go down and look at it, it has I, Jerome Powell, do solemnly swear or affirm that. Then it bifurcates. And now it says this is oath of office. And then it goes on with the words that are the same as the words that the Congress says, or that's in 5 U.S.C. 3331. But in 5 U.S.C. 3331, this line here, I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm, is part of the oath. Well, they split it in half. This isn't the oath that's in 3 U.S.C. 5 U.S.C. 3331. This is God, I don't know what it is. It's just a fake. Affidavit as to striking against the federal government. I am not participating in any strike against the government of the United States or any agency therefore, and I will not so participate while an employee of the government of the United States or any agency thereof. So now, any attorney working for the Department of Justice will have filed this piece of paper. And as you can see, if they filed it this way, then none of these people have any authority under the United States because they didn't take the proper oath of office, right? One without a religious test. And because attorneys have to be members of the bar, and to be members of the bar, they have to give up their First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Well, then it is an agency that is participating in the overthrow of the federal government. Because its members are members of a society that advocate the overthrow of our constitutional form of government. They make all their members give up their First Amendment right to freedom of speech. So, this is what people would be using to say this gave them authority to be an FBI agent. This gave them authority to be a Treasury agent. To be an IRS agent, to be whoever it is. Well, this doesn't give anybody any authority in the United States, and to use it as your authority is to deprive me of my civil rights. This is a simulated legal process done under color of law because it's not using people's full legal names. It doesn't have a seal on it. It's supposed to be a seal. Where's the seal? There isn't one. And, these were sent from the Board of Governors. They said, yeah, here's our oaths. This is what they're working with. None of these people have an oath of office. There's only one oath that satisfies the 6th article of the Constitution, and it was written into the first law of the first Congress after the ratification of the Constitution of the United States. Right? It's 1 Stat 23, 1 STAT 23, where it says, in an act to regulate the time and manner of administering certain oaths, June 1st, 1789, being enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. Now, see, this didn't say representatives of the United States, right? It said representatives of the United States of America. That the oath or affirmation required by the 6th article of the Constitution of the United States, it didn't say United States of America, but of the United States, shall be administered in the following form. To wit, I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm, as the case may be, that I will support the Constitution of the United States. Okay, this oath is supposed to be taken by every officer, right, that was mentioned in the 6th article. Right, senators, representatives, members of the several state legislatures, all executive and judicial officers. That would include the president. He's an executive officer. When he's the commander-in-chief, he's another executive officer. Both of the United States and of the several states shall be bound by oath and affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification for any oath or public office under the United States. So, whoever filed this other document, this one, right, they don't have any authority under the United States. Oh, come on, man, go away. Hang on a second, sir. Okay, so, right, this is 1789. Well, today, in Title IV, United States Code, flag, seal, seat of government, and the states, it says in Section 101, oath by members of legislatures and officers, where it says every member of a state legislature and every executive and judicial officer of the state shall, before he proceeds to execute the duties of his office, take an oath in the following form. To wit, I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. All right, so I, Robert Allen Ritlewski, do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States. Every state legislator and every state officer, both executive and judicial, have to take this oath of office. But there aren't any that are, sir. None of them are taking it. And I'll show you that in just a second. And I went into this in much more detail in Governor, I'm Not Judging You, I'm Prosecuting. But to show you, right, that the governor of Michigan, oh, and by the way, because she's not the governor, well, that makes me a POW held by the state of Michigan. And I'd like to have my ID card, sir, and I'm not getting it. I'm a little bit upset about that. We'll save that for a different time. Where is her oath? Oh, here it is. So this is what the person claiming to be governor of the state of Michigan or governor of Michigan filed as their oath of office. And I got this by doing a Freedom of Information Act asking for the oath of the governor, and this is what they sent me. And see, there's no I, there's no state your name in there. So, you know, this may be an oath of office, but it's not the one that's required by 4 U.S.C. 101. It said I, state your name. You know, heck, I'm a staff sergeant. That's simple. Well, then we didn't do it right. We're going to have to do it again. Because this isn't good enough. It don't have your name in there. It's not right. Well, it goes further that this is supposed to be the oath that's in the Michigan Constitution, which it looks like it's about right, except for the fact that in the Michigan Constitution, the oath in there, the Constitution of the state, those words are not capitalized. They're just common words, lowercase, right? This is like a Constitution of the state. It's like it's talking about another document completely, where if it was lowercase, it would just be talking about the Constitution of the United States is also the Constitution of Michigan. So they changed the meaning of the oath that's in the Michigan Constitution of 1963. But beyond that, it didn't use her full legal name. Her name isn't Gretchen Whitmer, it's Gretchen Esther Whitmer. That's what's on her driver's license. So, you know, this is a counterfeit oath of office filed by somebody who's concealing their identity. And in Michigan, a notary cannot be the one that witnesses a governor's oath. It has to be particular officers of the state. So it's, you know, this is just how bad it is, sir. These are the people that say I have to stay in my house, right? And have taken away my civil liberties. And so we've all been treated very much like you have. I'm not going to show you a lot of people's court cases, but they're going to be a lot like I'm going to show in yours, that they're not using your name, so they're not using other people's names, and the attorneys aren't using their names on yours. They're not using their names on people in foreclosures. They're not using their name on somebody who's in a traffic case. The judges never use their name. Nobody uses their name. I'm sure that when you were in court, you saw a gold fringe flag. Sir, go look at Army Regulation AR 840-0. A gold fringe flag can fly in military courtrooms, but it's not for civilian courtrooms. There is no authority to fly, to display a gold fringe flag as a private person. Right? Private persons can fly a flag that doesn't have any fringe on it. But if it's a public building and it has a flag, well, that's an indication that it's under the authority of the United States Army. Because the Army has a duty to defend the flag, right? That's where the Constitution needs to be defended, and it isn't happening. And so if you were in a courtroom that had a gold fringe flag, then it had to have been some kind of military tribunal. But if they weren't swearing people in, and it wasn't a court martial, you'd know what a general court martial looks like. Well, then, it wasn't the right place for you to be. All right, hang on a second. Okay, so to summarize this part, sir, I think that you need to go to the United States District Court, District of Columbia, to the office of the clerk, and get a copy of whatever they want to call the document they're going to give you that says who can practice in their court, right, to see what names are on there and compare that to the names they're using. Those same attorneys would have something similar to this filed with the D.C. bar, it looks like, right? Because you can go to the D.C. bar to get a copy of their... I shut her down. You can go to the D.C. bar to get a copy of their certificate of good standing. Right here in Michigan, they call it the roll of attorneys that this is on, right? The roll of attorneys, but but what this is a certificate of good standing. Well, that's the name they need to be using on their paperwork, and they're not. What they're using is the name of the middle initial. So that's practicing law without a license. We should be filing a tort claim against them if we were going to try to handle it out of court, but I'd just soon you arrested their ass for espionage and crimes against the United States. Same with anybody who has this, sir. So the Army's going to have to make everybody go do their oath of office again, because this is wrong. This is bad faith. That's why I'm trying to get the churches involved. This is all done in bad faith, and the Supreme Court says that the churches have jurisdiction in faith. So if the church isn't going to say, hey, this is bad faith, then the court isn't going to say it is either. And they're going to let it go. So, I was pushing to get the damn, this is pastor, condoning bad faith is bad faith. They condone bad faith by not going and saying something. This building you can see in this picture, that's the Methodist building right next to the Supreme Court. They need to go from this building over to the Supreme Court and get with the guy called the Solicitor General, who by his title he actually is the only man that needs to be learned in the law in the whole government of the United States, and ask him what needs to be done. So, and right behind this building is the Reserve Officers Association. Across the streets of Capitol, down the roads to the White House. It's like, come on, everything is right there. How come somebody can't get this shit figured out how to do an oath of office? I don't know, sir. It's really starting to piss me off. Sorry, sir. I keep finding one more thing to add to this video. So, President Trump, President-elect Donald John Trump, can't be president until he's President Donald John Trump. Right now he's Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. I need him to be President of the United States. But until then, throw shades at poorly run states seeking aid. Please bring to his attention every county, and I'm sure he knows these things, but they need to be put on the internet. We need to talk about them. So every county has a comprehensive annual financial report. Here's one for County of Kent, Michigan. And according to this, if we were to look at its net position, right, County of Kent, Michigan, which I don't believe that to be the proper name of the county. This is probably the corporation that was set up. And this is where all the money's going to, because if we look at the County of Kent, Michigan, it says that its total net position, and this is in thousands of dollars now, that would be $508,769,005,000. That's the total net position. How can the state need any money when just one of its counties has a $500 billion surplus? I think that should be investigated, sir. So there you are, right? It's called the comprehensive annual financial statement. Everybody should go look at theirs. And this is the part where they just talk about statement of net position. Right? All these different amounts add up at some point to be the net. And it says total net position. Well, I'm going to say that means that's what's left after all the bills are paid. $508 billion. It's a shame it's just sitting in somebody's account when it, could be helping people that are starving to death. Okay, now from the Rules of Civil Procedure for the United States District Court, you will find in Rule 2, it says there's one form of action. There is one form of action, the civil action. Now, why that's important is when we start looking at some of your documents, they're going to say it's a criminal action. Well, there's only one form of action in the United States District Courts. It's a civil action. If we were to look at the Federal Rules of Procedure for criminal procedure, it doesn't mention anything about a criminal action in there anywhere. So my point is, when they use it on your paperwork, then that means there's something wrong. That's not conforming to the rules of the courts. Okay, so let's look closer again. All right, this is the very first document somebody tried to file against you, which it doesn't show that it was ever received. It doesn't have a file stamp on it. There's no number here, criminal number. We'll see what that means later, if it means anything. Not United States of America. No, it's not the United States. It's United States of America, which is King George's jurisdiction, according to Treaty of Peace, 1783. Michael T. Flynn is not a person, it's a thing. Now, this was into the court that says for the District of Columbia, filed by people that are using a middle initial name, so that's not their legal name. This is not the name that's going to be on their certificate of good standing or on the document from the clerk's office of this court saying that they're authorized to practice in the court. All right, so there's that. Now let's look at compared to, okay, now this is the document that you put in, Declaration of Michael T. Flynn, right? So this is, did an attorney help you do this? Because, they're making you agree to be somebody that you're not. And it says it's a criminal action. Well, there's only one kind of action in the United States District Courts. They're civil actions. And the United States of America is not the name of the government. And I don't know if there was anything else I really had on yours that, other than that. But let's look at number 2. So this was the first thing that went in, right, was their information from the prosecutor, apparently. And this is United States of America versus Michael T. Flynn, right? This says criminal number. It doesn't say criminal action. It doesn't say criminal no like this. No, it says criminal number. 17-232 RC. But if we look at the court cases, they don't say 72-232 RC. They say 117 CR 00232 EGS. All right, so what is this? I don't have a file stamp either. And let's see here. Oh, hey, so somebody's pretending to be you, or going to pretend to appear for you. Right, you are hereby notified that I appear for the defendant indicated above in the entitled action. Stephen P. Anthony. Well, that's not going to be the name on his certificate of good standing. All right. Now, hey, this one says it's filed. Right, but it was filed in the U.S. U.S. District and Bankruptcy Court. Not in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia. Right, so where's this court? Fourth document, finally one's been filed, and it says Clerk, U.S. District Court, Bankruptcy Courts. And it's a statement of the offense. So this one went to the Clerk, U.S. District and bankruptcy courts. But this one didn't go to anybody. This is supposed to be the information that they filed with the court to start the court case. It's not been filed. And Michael T. Flynn, he can't be he can't be you. Like Donald J. Trump can't be the president. And if we go to the end of this thing, we'll see that, again, right, using middle initial names, filed it, and the defendants accepted it. Right, Michael T. Flynn, defendant, whoever he is, and then supposed to be the attorney for the defendant. But these people don't have, in that name, don't have any authority to practice in the United States District Court. They're simulating a legal process. Yeah, and this was, see, now there's no mention of bankruptcy court. Let me go back and make sure I didn't miss something with that here. Quick. What was the name of the court? Right, this is for the, I believe the one that you put in, you didn't have for the in. That's why I'm asking who helped you do this, because this doesn't say for the. This says United States District Court, District of Columbia. All these other ones are saying for the. For the. For the. For the. Right? But now this one doesn't mention the bankruptcy court. It's supposed to be some order coming from a court. For Michael T. Flynn, again, he's not the defendant, and it's got a different case number. Right? They keep changing the style of these case numbers. I thought this was the case number. 117 CR 00232 EGS. But no, here it's 17 CR 232 RC. It's like there's two different cases going on. Huh. They teach us stuff in, I don't know, like, is this what Masons learn? Where do you learn this? Is this what they teach in the bar? We have a real problem with attorneys. This is why attorneys were woed so forcefully by Jesus, General, numerous times, because of this. And they don't do this just to you. This is just business as usual every day of the week in court. Again, this one's been filed into the, clerk, U.S. district, and bankruptcy courts. But it's written to the United States District Court and bankruptcy courts for the District of Columbia. Now, how did bankruptcy court get into this one? Right, it wasn't in this one. This was filed by, right, this one's being filed by the prosecution. And it says United States District Court for the District of Columbia. Or this one says United States District and Bankruptcy Courts for the District of Columbia. Waiver of trial by jury. All right, so now somebody has you waiving your right to trial by jury into a court that doesn't exist under a criminal case number that this is the first place it's showing up as a criminal case number. Right? It's not called a criminal action. It's called a criminal case. But here it was 17 CR 232. And here it's 17 232 RC. Right? Something going on there, sir. They don't have the name of the counsel. There's just some scribble. They don't even have your name on there. Did you know that this was put in? I guess is what I'd like to know. Did you know that somebody waived your right to trial by jury? Because this is what happens when you hire an attorney. You think you're hiring an attorney to give you legal counsel. That's not what they're doing. They're not giving you any legal counsel. They're just pretending to be you, and they start signing your frickin' name for you. Let me see. Is that the way you sign your name? This is an easy way to tell. Let's go look and see if that's how you signed your name. Okay, that's the way you did it here. one is it? Hang on a second. Okay, there's Michael T. Flynn on your statement. And that's supposed to be Michael T. Flynn on a waiver of trial by jury. Submitted into a court that doesn't exist. Filed in another court that isn't the court that is on the paperwork where the original information went into. No file stamp. I don't believe yours has a file stamp on it either, sir. What's going on? What do you think's going on? Do you think somebody is trying to slip one past you? Okay, United States District Court. Right now, it no longer says bankruptcy court, and there is no stamp. And now it's a criminal number, 17232 EGS. And of course, it said criminal actions on other ones. And what was this one? 17232 EGS. That stayed the same, but now this is a criminal action, right? This one says criminal action. This one says criminal number. United States District Court for the District of Columbia. United States District Court, District of Columbia, right? There's no for the. There's no for the here. This is even another court. I don't know where all this paper is going, but it's not going into the same court, apparently. And so I don't know how to, I don't have any authority, sir. I can't get in any deeper, but you have people on the inside. I think you can go find out what's going on. You find out why these people are using middle initials instead of their full legal name. So that's what's going on, sir. There's enemies, foreign and domestic. Oh, what else did I do? I went to Pacer. That's where I got your documents from. And I just put in Flynn Michael. And it took me to this page where there were these 5 different people, right? Where you're the defendant in one and an interested party in another. And then we got Michael Francis, Michael J., and Michael A. Okay, well, when we select the case for Michael T. Flynn, there's actually 2 cases against you. Right? There's USA versus Flynn, and then there's Michael T. Flynn. Now, one is a -1, and the other one isn't. I don't know why they do that. Can you find out? And what is this here? So this is 17C. This one we looked at already. This is the one where I got the documents from that I'm showing right now. USA versus Flynn. Yeah, USA versus Flynn. Oh, and these were the associated cases. You have something to do with WP Company, LLC. Something to do with the Associated Press. And the case summary, which shows all the people that were pretending to be representing you or representing the government, right? Plaintiff, USA. USA, as an abbreviation in the military, is United States Army. I don't know what it means to these people, but if it means United States of America, well, that's King George's jurisdiction. His successors, obviously. It's not jurisdiction of the United States. Right? Michael T. Flynn, represented by. See, when you're a thing, you can't represent yourself. This is why when you go to court, even an attorney can't represent himself. He needs to be represented by somebody else. Because they're not taking you there as a person, they're taking you there as a thing. Almost more like property, sir. And so that's where we are. Flash, flash, flash. Your person, Michael Thomas Flynn, cannot stand trial as Michael T. Flynn. But that's what they did. So you're a victim of human trafficking. And I understand that we're at war with human trafficking. In fact, there's executive order that we're at war with human trafficking. So It's time to call the military. Go shut down all these courts. Go shut down all these people pretending to be governors. Go shut down the people pretending to be the Congress. Just go to all the capitals, kick them out, lock the doors, tell them all to go home. And that's what it says to do in the Title 10, United States Code, chapters 13 and 15, insurrection, right? That we need to issue a proclamation, tell them all to go home. So technically, that's where we are now. We've been all told to go home, right? So all these things are actually happening. They're just not using the proper terms, or the terms that we could be using if we were using the proper laws. And so I'm going to leave it at that, sir. I hope you found it useful. And if you have any questions, you can get a hold of me here, Court of Record, AOL.com. Phone number 616-712-6179. Thank you for your service, sir. Have a good day.